Hello, welcome to my studio. It's Ivonne from the Precut. It's Tuesday. You know what that means. We have a new technique. This week we are going to be making flying geese, one of my favorite blocks because they go together so easily. This week we're going to make them two different ways. They look the same, but they're made two different ways. One is a traditional no waste method, and one is a stitch and flip method. So let's head to the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you this guy first, the stitch and flip method. But we're going to be making geese two different ways. The first way we're going to make them is called the stitch and flip method. And with this one, you are going to have one piece that is 4.5 inches long and two pieces that are 2.5 square. So 4.5 by 2.5 and 2.5 by 2.5. And this is going to make just a single goose. So this is a great thing when you're making scrappy geese and you're making a whole bunch that are all going to be different. You're going to take and draw a diagonal line on the back of your two. These are called the sky units because they are what the goose is flying into. The big piece in the middle is considered your goose, and the two side triangles are your skies. Okay, so here we have them, all three pieces that we need. We're going to take this one, and it doesn't matter if you start right or left, but you want your diagonal to go from the bottom corner to the top middle. Just like that, and get it lined up there really nice and straight. Now we're going to sew not right on the line. We are going to sew just to the outside of the line. And what that does for us is gives us a little bit of play when we have to fold this over. If it's right on the line, you lose just a little bit of fabric in that fold over. I like to, when I'm doing this, sewing on top of the fabric like this, I'm going to put on my open toe foot. You know, your machine came with a number of feet. Use them. They're fun. And it makes your life a whole lot easier. Okay, so I'm going to sew just to the right of my line. See that? Oop, I got a little bit wiggly. I'm going to stop. I don't have to take it out because that's in the seam allowance, but I want to get it nice and straight. I got wiggly because I looked up here. I was going to move my camera in a little bit for you. Okay, there you go. And just start just a little bit to the right, and we're going to just stay right to the right of that line all the way down, just like that. Now when we take it out and fold it over, you see how that goes all the way out to the edge of that underneath block? If we were right on the line, it would come in just a little bit and you might see some of that underneath block. So at this point, you need to trim off this little goose. If you're doing a bunch, you would be chain stitching, get a bunch of them through there, get 1/2 of them done. But there we go. Trim that off. And you are always going to press towards the sky, regardless of whether it's lighter or darker. Okay, so there you are. You have half of it done. Now you're going to take this one and put it in the opposite corner, going in the same direction. Now you notice they overlap here at the top. That's exactly what you want. You want them to overlap at the 1/4 inch mark right there, because that's going to give you that perfect point that you're going to be able to sew into seams. So just like that, again, just a little bit to the outside of that line. And there you go. We'll trim this one off. There. You can do it with your rotary cutter if you want, but I just do it quick with my scissors. And look at there. Now I'm going to press this real quick so that you can see the point and how it matches up so nicely. Okay, just give it a little press. All right, now let's look at this baby. Sorry, bumped the camera. See how you have 1/4 of an inch from the point up here. That is so important because that is where your seam line is going to go. So when you sew your next piece on and it's right there, you don't lose your point. And that's what you want. You want to make sure you keep that point that looks like the point of a flock of geese flying in the sky. So there you go. How easy was that? Okay, let me show you how to do it a different way. So with this one, you are using, I started with, what am I thinking? The jelly roll strips, my little mini jelly rolls from the Urban Liberty collection. And I wanted to be able to do them all with my little jelly roll. So that 2.5 inch strip worked really, really well for that because I could cut 2.5s here, yeah. So for this version, you need a little bit bigger pieces of fabric. So the first one, I'm making them opposite now. This one is going to be the goose unit on this block. And this is going to be my sky units. So for the goose unit, for the, what do I have here? A 2.5 by 4.5. So it's going to finish at a 2 by 4. For this one, you are going to take your 5 1/4 inch square and you are going to trim it diagonally, cut it diagonally twice. So you're going to go up that side, turn your board, and cut it twice. Now this gives you 4 geese units. 4 of that center triangle right there. Okay, we're only going to use 1 this time, but see how it keeps our diagonal exactly the way we like it? Okay, and then this one is a 2 7/8 inch square. You need a little bit more because we need seam allowance this time that we didn't need with the stitch and flip method. And you're going to cut this one in half once. So for every 4 blocks, you need 1 large square and 4 small squares. Okay. And now we're going to just build our goose. They look like this when you start, right? Okay, this point is still just a little bit tricky. So what you're going to do is you're going to layer them over, and you need your top. See how the sky unit sticks up a little bit? You want that to be up 1/4 of an inch. So when you start, your 1/4 of an inch starts right here in this little valley. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to put my 1/4 inch foot back on because now I'm sewing beside the line or the fabric, not on top of it. And I'm going to just start right at that top. My needle is going to come down. See, it came down right at that join and sew down this side. Now these are bias edges, so you have to be very careful that you don't stretch them. That's one of the difficulties with doing it this way is you do have to be really careful of your stretch. I'm going to finger press this open, keeping in mind that it's a bias, just like that. I like to, at this point, trim off this little dog ear just so that it makes my next step easier. And then again, we're going to line up in this corner, and you want it to hang out. And it's going to look a little different. It's going to look bigger there because before we were measuring off this point, now it's going to look over there. But it's going to work out, and you're going to still have that 1/4 inch seam at the top that will keep your point when you go. Okay. And right off the edge. Okay. And there you go. See how that worked? Now, You'll have this little dog ear, and if you've done it right, everything is going to line up pretty even across the top. Mine's just a little bit off, so I had one of my squares up higher or one down lower. It'll still work out just fine. I'm going to just trim that off. I'll give it a little press and it'll be ready to go. It has that 1/4 inch right there on top, just like the other one. So that is how you make flying geese 2 different ways. The traditional way, this is the traditional way, and this is the stitch and flip way. And they're both fabulous. Now look, because I varied my geese and my skies, you could almost make a point that way, couldn't you? If I had to use the same fabric, that would look like a little arrow point. But we're doing geese, not arrows. So I hope that helped. If you have any questions, drop a note in the comments and I will get back to you. So happy sewing!